going on? What is up, everybody? Welcome to this week's edition of the Turbo and 2K show. And yes, we do have 2Ks on the horn as always. Hopefully, not for much longer. But yeah, this week we are going to break down the Green Bay and Tampa Bay game. We've got the Kansas City and Buffalo game rolling here. And sit back and relax because you have found the Turbo and 2K show. Let's see if this works. It's the Turbo and 2K show. All right, so 2Ks, we've had, not going to say the greatest first game ever. You know, I'm not a big Tom Brady lover. And with the kind of the Marcellus
I
connection
am.
with, I know you love Tom Brady, but, and that, kind of the Marcellus connection to the Green Bay Packers, I was rooting for him. I've always been more of a Aaron Rodgers lover, but we'll kind of get into that. But first of all, 2Ks, you and I both loving baseball. I felt this is something that we needed to do, and let's take a quick second here to remember a MLB legend. And if you've been following pretty much any sports talk, you realize that we've had a ton of baseball legends pass away here recently, 2Ks, and Hammerin' Hank Aaron is the latest one. And I brought up a website here, but it made my computer almost crash, so I had to had to close it. But if I'm remembering correctly, a 22 time All Star. Think about that, 2Ks. Not only being in the league for 22 years, but we've had a 22-year All Star. You know, obviously was the home run champion until Barry Bonds passed him. It's still the leader in RBIs. I think he ended his career with like a 306 batting average. Consummate Hall of Famer. And for those that knew, from what I've gathered, those that knew him was an absolute gentleman and a scholar. And definitely the world is a different place without Hank Aaron. So take a moment of silence just to kind of give props where they're due. So all right. Well, let's jump into the show. 2Ks, are you ready or what? Are you ready
Oh
or
yeah.
what? And now,
Yep.
for my, before we even jump into this, 2Ks, I did want to give a big shout out. And I talked to you literally 3 minutes about this and almost forgot about it. But I want to give a big shout out to the Wounded Minnow Saloon in Dowagiac. My friend Kyle's the owner of that, and just want to give a big shout out to him and his establishment, his staff, and their amazing, amazing food. They are doing takeout as well as takeout alcohol, takeout liquor. 2Ks. You can get a Long Island iced tea to go. Can you believe that?
That's dangerous.
Yeah,
Dangerous.
yeah, and especially the way they make them because they are delicious. They're delicious. And for those of you that are wondering what the hell I'm talking about, go on Facebook, look up Wounded Minnow Saloon, and they're in Dowagiac, Michigan. If you want to make a ticket, and I got to give it to them because they update their specials every week, as well as they do have their menu posted on their Facebook page. So, Wounded Wounded Minnow Saloon. Give them a call 269-782-9690. Tell them Turbo and 2K sent you, just so they know that we gave them a big shout out on the show. Okay, now all of that's done. 2Ks. We had my first question that pops off is: you've got two Hall of Fame quarterbacks. I mean, they're gonna walk into Canton, first ballot, hands down. You got Brady, who's the goat. You've got Aaron Rodgers, who a lot of people think is the best quarterback that's ever played. Why is this not on prime time? Why is this the first game?
Yeah. That's
Granted,
a good
I
question.
I, I know the Chiefs are the defending champs, but my first thought is I think they put this on. This is conspiracy theory turbo. Hold on, they put it on the first game because it's going to be not as cold, and it's in Green Bay, and there was a threat of snow. That's my conspiracy theory. They were trying to lean towards Tom Terrific and TB12 and all that good shit. But I think they kind of did, and I'm not saying it would have a different outcome of the game, but we talked about it last week. One of the biggest home field advantages is Lambeau during this time of year with the snow, with the cold, and I think they kind of shafted the Packers on not having the primetime game. I would think that these two teams have the kind of resume to put that on primetime and utilize that home field advantage. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, when I turned the game on and I saw the sun shining and there's no snow, and it really just didn't look that cold there in Green Bay, Wisconsin today. And when I saw that, the first thing I thought when I saw that was, well, this is going to play into Tampa's. It's going to play right into their game,
Yeah.
not having the snow or anything like that. So that was my first thought. But at the same time, we're talking about Tom Brady. It's not like this guy hasn't won big time football games in the cold weather before. So,
I agree. It was just something I was thinking about. I'm like, well, you would think these two guys would have at least earned the right to play in prime time rather than the young bucks, if you will. There was a meme out there with the, Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen going at it, and then you had Tom Brady and Rodgers and like long ass beards and white beards and shit. And it's like, well, yeah, it's kind of true. It's kind of true, but that was before the game even started. That was my thought process. It's like, all right, well, I get it. Mahomes and the Chiefs are the defending champs, and I guarantee that's exactly what was happening. It had nothing to do with my home field and weather conspiracy, but yeah, I think it did play a little bit more into Brady's hands. Would it have made a difference? Who knows? I don't think so. I don't think so. But my initial reactions from after the game, 2Ks, is that Tampa's defense won this game. Had nothing to do with Tom Brady. Tom Brady had a great first half. Coughs up the ball, get those three picks, but yet the red hot offense that was Green Bay sputtered in the red zone, had to settle for a couple field goals, had a missed 2-point conversion try, and I think that literally sealed the deal was their inability to score touchdowns, but rather field goals. And when Tom Terrific had the ball, they weren't settling for field goals. Granted, there was a couple, but I think that was the defense was what held this team in the game, held the offense in the game. Because like I said, 3 picks, which is very that's not Tom Brady. That's not the normal TB12 that you see. But yet they were to keep they held the boat straight and kept everything going. And like I said, I think ultimately won the game for him. What do you think?
yeah, absolutely. I mean, you look back at all these. I mean, what made Green Bay so good this year was just their efficiency inside of inside the red zone. It seemed like every single trip that they made into the red zone, especially in goal to go situations, they were basically scoring touchdowns every single time they got down there. And today, them having to settle for those 2 field goals really played to be the difference of the game. It wasn't like Rodgers had a hard time moving the ball down the field. They were able to move the ball. I mean, he threw for well over 300 yards and 3 touchdowns. But you look at those 2 drives where Tampa was just able to make the stop. Tampa's defense was able to make more stops today than Green Bay's defense was. And we talked about Green Bay last week. Obviously being the favorite to win it all. At least I said that. And one of the things that we kept on mentioning was this is the best defense that Aaron Rodgers has possibly had in his entire career.
Mm-hmm.
And that defense, and just kind of just let them down today. I mean, yes, they had the 3 interceptions, but other than that, there was just way too many drives. I look at the biggest play of the game to me is right before halftime. You give up the 39-yard touchdown pass, right before halftime, and that just can't happen. How you allow a guy, Scotty Miller, of all people,
Who the hell is that?
On that Tampa Bay offense, that's just full of huge names, future Hall of Famers, and Scotty Miller of all people is the guy that gets behind you and ends up scoring a touchdown in the last play of the first half, 1 second to go. That just can't. That just cannot happen. And unfortunately, the difference in the game. You can say what you want to say. I know that Mr. LaFleur is gonna catch a ton of heat for obviously kicking that field goal with 2 minutes to go in the game. And I disagree with his decision to do that also. Not so much disagree with the decision to do it. And in a lot of games, I think that's the right play. When you're playing against Tom Brady, though, I think that you can't give the ball back to Brady and expect him not to get a first down. Like, you cannot expect him just to have a 3-and-out in the biggest game of the season. It's Tom fucking Brady. I mean, this guy's he's won 6 Super Bowls for a reason. He's going to his 10th Super Bowl. There's no way in that situation that you can give the ball back to him and not go for it there on 4th down with 2 minutes to go in that game, inside the 10-yard line. To me, you got to go for the score. And even if you don't get it, you still have all 3 of your timeouts, and you have Tampa push back inside their own goal line. So
yep. No,
LaFleur is going to take a beating for this, and unfortunately it's probably deserved.
Yeah, and it's hard. It's hard to argue with their 2Ks. And one of the things that I wanted to bring up was that play at the end of at the end of the halftime, and the MVP. Let's not bypass by far the MVP of this game is Jason Pierre-Paul. Like, where in the hell did he come from? Last time we knew he was being released from the Giants from blowing his hand up with firecrackers and doing dumb shit. And now he's on the biggest stage harassing Aaron Rodgers nonstop. And basically, he almost took that game over by himself. Mm-hmm. And like I said, where the hell did he come from? We haven't heard from him in years, and all of a sudden, bam, here we go. And so that can't be discounted either, And there's been, the going into this game, like you said, we talked about the, how complete this Packers team was. They were the most complete team in the playoffs, and however, when them and Tampa played last time, Tampa destroyed them. Excuse me. It started off kind of looking like that, and then all of a sudden, Aaron Rodgers rights the ship like he always does, and he starts taking care of stuff. But when it came down to it, that offensive line couldn't protect him the way he needed to. You didn't see those big running plays that they had against an even better defense in the Rams. So I don't know where the disconnect comes from between running and I'm not gonna say dominating the Aaron Donald led Rams, but if you take it piece by piece, you have to say that the Rams defense is better than the Bucs. But the Bucs brought it. The Bucs had 6 sacks when they played it in the regular season. Would they have 3 or 4 in this game? So that offensive line was not as cohesive as they needed to be, and some of the injuries that had been on that line maybe kind of showed its reared its ugly head at that point, because they didn't have the same running game. They had flashes of it. Williams had some amazing runs in there, and there was one where if he just would have he tried his best to tiptoe the sideline and just couldn't. And had he done that, then he's running into the end zone for 6. But but yeah, it was a good game. It was a good game.
There was just things that happened today that with Green Bay that we haven't seen happen to. I look at the 2 fumbles that Aaron Jones had.
Yeah.
Aaron Jones hasn't fumbled the ball all season like that, and that happens. And then there's a drive where they got down. It was one of the drives where Green Bay ended up having to settle for a field goal in the first half. And I want to say they were down inside the 10-yard line. And 3 straight times they tried to go to Devontae Adams. And the first time, especially, Devontae Adams just flat out dropped the ball. I mean, dropped the ball in the end zone. Should have been an easy touchdown. I mean, this is the guy. This guy leads the NFL in touchdowns this year. I mean, basically has been. I don't think I've seen him drop a pass all season long, and he drops a pass right in the end zone, wide open. Never was that open the entire day, and they missed that opportunity. Ended up having to settle for a field goal, and it was just they just looked off today. And we haven't seen that. We haven't seen that Green Bay team since basically the first time that they played Tampa in the middle of the season this year, where they were off. And today was another day where they weren't as bad. They were right in the game, and they had an opportunity to win this game. But they just were off. They were not sharp. They were not that sharp team that we basically watched the entire season. So,
no, you're very right. There was something was off, and I expected more from Aaron Rodgers, being that this is his fifth championship or NFC championship game in his first at home. And granted, he threw for over 300 yards. I want to say 3 touchdowns, whatever. But it just seemed like it took way too long for things to get on track. And by that point, they were down, 17, 18 points. And then he brought him back to 11, and I want to say it was 11 going into halftime, and it just something that to me it seemed like they were, they had like a 2-week layoff, and all of a sudden they're coming back and they were flat. That's what especially to start the game, defense included, but as everyone knows, TB12 is on the other side. And it seems like TB12 never comes out the gate slow. I can't put my finger on it. It's just him and that coaching staff. And now we get to hear a whole other 2 weeks of Bruce Arians' press conferences, which are some of the most boring press conferences I've ever heard. The only ones that are better is Andy Reid, where his mask looks like an ascot, which is super cool. And the other day, I want to say Monday or Tuesday, he had a leather jacket on with it, looking really fly. So Andy Reid wins one Super Bowl, and all of a sudden, is looking like he's flossing an ascot in a leather coat, which to me at his age looks really weird. But who am I to judge? But for those of you watching, go ahead and drop your comments in the comment box. I'd love to feature you on the show. But we are, let me see here, we are breaking down the NFC Championship game, the Fighting Brett Favre against the TB12s. And for those of you who watch the game, TB12s came out on top. And you're right, you're right, 2Ks, when it comes down to the fourth down play with a little over 2 minutes to go. And I was sitting there going, don't do it. You're going to give Tom time. And your defense, yes, they've picked him 3 times. Yes, they've done a decent job. But Tom's not putting the ball in the air. They're just going to run. And then when he does put it in the air, a questionable pass interference call gives the Bucs the first down, and ultimately they can squander the game away.
Do you honestly really think it was that questionable, though? I mean, there was one view there where you could see the guy's entire white shirt being completely pulled back. I think on the field they called it pass interference, and it probably wasn't pass interference, but it was definitely holding, which holding is a 5-yard penalty.
Still gives you a first down anyway. The reason I'm saying questionable is in the
flag. The flag was thrown fucking 45 seconds after the damn play was over.
That was part of it. That was part of it, and they had kind of just let him play all game. Now, if it
absolutely.
Hands down. It by the rules, is it a pass interference or a hold? Absolutely. Mm-hmm. But in just kind of reference to where it was going on with the rest of the game, that's where I kind of question it. You picked the biggest point in the game to get. I'm not going to say flag happy, because there's going to be everyone going, oh my God, Turbo, you saw the same thing we did. Shut the fuck up. Yes, I did. Yes, I did. But it's kind of like at the end of an NBA game when you're going to all of a sudden start calling hand checking when you haven't called hand checking the entire game. That to me seems kind of suspect. But
I hate it when in these big games, you think of the biggest game of the season to this point. Obviously, we're not to the Super Bowl yet, but
right.
these are the biggest games of the season right now,
Yep.
and it seems like it happens every year. The games are decided by the officials. They're not decided by the players on the field. The
Exactly.
officials decide the game.
Exactly.
I mean, you look at the Saints. Look at the Saints and Rams game a couple years ago. The officials, they were the players weren't able to end that game. It wasn't. It was the officials. It was an obvious no call that's not made, and that leads to the Saints ending the Saints season and the Rams going to the Super Bowl. And so when you see these situations like today, where obviously, like you said, and I 100% agree with you, they let it go. They let it go all day long. I mean, I can remember times where I can remember one play very vividly with Lazard not even being able to pick his arms up to catch the ball because the defensive back had his arm basically holding his arm down at his waist, and then they let it go. And that was the way that the game was officiated all day long. And then in the last significant play of the game, you throw a flag 45 seconds after the play is over. I mean, basically, teams were running off to the sidelines already. And then all of a sudden, this flag gets thrown in I think it was from an official all the way over on the other side of the field. And it was that. So that's where, I hate it when the officials basically decide the game and not the play. Not the players that are actually on the field.
Yeah.
And for that's unfortunate. But how many times has Green Bay been on the other side of this in these big situation games where it seems like, and this goes back to where when I used to have I used to get so fucking mad watching Green Bay play because I always felt like Aaron Rodgers in big time situations got every single call from the officials every single time. He always got the call. And so I can't help but watch this game today and see them, get that call, and it's finally like, you know what? They finally got it. They finally got that call on them that didn't go their way, in basically the last drive of a game.
And I know I'm gonna get slack for this, but had they been calling everything like that the whole game, I wouldn't have a problem with it. Would not have a problem with it. Like you said, that Lazard play. I know exactly which play you're talking about, and yes, that really deserved a flag. And just to, you're right. When it comes down to just like the Rams, just like you mentioned the Rams and Saints. When it comes down to the deciding play of the game, you throw a flag. To me, I'm not saying that play decided the game. Had getting back to exactly like we said, had Green Bay taken care of things and scored in the red zone as efficiently as they did all year long, this wouldn't have been an issue at all. But instead of scoring touchdowns, you scored field goals, and for that, the Packers put themselves in that situation. And when you put yourself in a situation where an official can decide the game for you, that's kind of your fault. It's at least half your fault. Just because now, had they not had those chances inside the red zone and kicked long field goals, that's a different story. But you knocked on the door. You mentioned it was like the second or third drive of the game where, like you said, Devontae Adams drops the first down play, and then they tried to get it to him on the other side, and it was batted down, so they went to him 3 straight times and had to settle for a field goal. And when you have the best receiver in the league, I don't blame you. But you also have other options. You have backs that, I mean, hell, all 3 of those backs are very, very well-versed pass catchers. Excuse me. You have Lazard, who's 6'5". You have a big-ass tight end. So you have the offensive weapons, and damn well and good that they're going to pay extra attention to Devontae Adams inside the red zone. However, fast forward to, I think it was the late in the third quarter, right into the first quarter, probably the easiest touchdown pass that Aaron Rodgers had all year, where Devontae takes one step to the right, cuts on the inside, and the defender almost completely falls down. And it's a quick, easy pitch and catch. And I'm sitting there going, why don't they run that play all the time, especially in the red zone? And that was the touchdown that they went for two. They got kind of creative, and then it didn't end up working. But it's like when you're in the red zone with that type of route runner, this should be the easiest thing in the world. Especially the dude's one-on-one with him. I don't understand why we don't go to him more often. Maybe we can get Mr. LaFleur on the show and he can kind of answer some of our questions. Doubt it, but it's always a shot in the dark, if you will. But
it's going to be one that he's not going to want to talk about.
Yeah.
It's going to take some time to get over.
And I'm sure.
And the unfortunate part about it, though, is leading up to today's game. I listened to the shit on all the sports channels all week long about everybody just praising LaFleur and what he's done as a coach, and deservingly so. I mean, this arguably could have been the NFL Coach of the Year this year with what he did and with this team and just the way that they basically dominated the NFC and let alone the NFL as a whole, basically all season long. And but everybody questioned with this hire. Everybody questioned how it was going to go, if he was ever going to be able to coach a guy like Aaron Rodgers, somebody a Hall of Fame quarterback that was basically a my way or the highway type of guy. And he proved everything wrong. I mean, he to me is a major reason on why Aaron Rodgers is having the success that he's had.
Sure.
Especially this year. I think the credit, you have to give a lot of the credit to LaFleur for Aaron Rodgers winning the MVP this season.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, a lot of the credit has to go to him. You have to go, but everybody jumped on the LaFleur train basically all week long, or even pretty much the whole second half of the regular season, leading into the playoffs, leading into today's game, and because of one call, I guarantee you, and it's going to be sad to watch it tomorrow, but everybody's going to fucking turn on him.
Yep.
And and you can sit there and you can question that call all you want, and you can go back and forth on it, and the saddest thing is we'll never know, what would have happened if he would have went for it on that. And but I tell you what, it's very easy to coach the Green Bay Packers on your fat ass, sitting on your fat ass on the couch, watching the games on TV, telling them what to do. But it's a whole different ballgame when you're standing on the sideline making that call.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, yes, I do. I disagree with the call that he made, but at the same time, I mean, you cannot look at this team on that call and put all the blame on him. I mean, their defense let them down today. They did not have their best game. We mentioned the two drives that they had to settle for field goals, and the offense just wasn't as sharp, and they just all around were not the same Green Bay team that we've been watching all week long. You cannot put all the blame on the floor for one decision that he made it late in this ballgame. I mean, you just can't. And unfortunately, that's what we're going to see, though, these next few days. He's going to have a lot of questions to answer regarding that one play.
Yeah, and all the dude's done is, in his first 2 years as a head coach, taking a team to the NFC title game.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
He's done everything but win a Super Bowl in his first 2 years.
Look at everything that he did this year, and basically didn't get any fucking help in the draft.
No.
I mean, we sat here and talked about their draft as them basically doing nothing to improve themselves, but yet they improved. They got better with basically all the same guys.
Yeah. Because they traded up to get Jordan Love, who didn't see the field, even in some mop-up duty, didn't see the field. And now what the hell do you do with him going forward?
Spring running back.
Yeah. So it's I mean, it was pretty much the Packers were like three plays away from winning the game. And if you think about it, a handful of plays of absolutely dominating this game. And I don't know how TB12 does it, 2Ks. I don't, because he was not the reason they won this game, but obviously he was not the reason they lost. They obviously didn't lose, but he keeps doing it. He keeps doing it. Now it's gonna be crazy to see out of whoever comes out of the AFC. You know, you just defeated a team in the Green Bay Packers who had arguably one of the most prolific offenses in the league. Now you're going to get one of the two young guns that love to throw the ball all over the field. And we really didn't see Aaron Rodgers go deep a lot. Maybe one or two shots the whole game, and one of them went for a touchdown. You know, they were very conservative with their pass calls. You know, just given, you know, to quote every single fucking commentator, he took what the defense was giving him. And now you're going to get two kids that have, both of them probably have the best arms in the league. And speaking of that, the Bills and Chiefs are at halftime, or just coming out of halftime. And as soon as they post the score, I'll let you know. It's like 22-11 or
21-12.
21-12. There we go. That was close. But yeah, these two teams are, no matter, they're built extremely similar if you think about it. 2Ks. They have each one of them have a fantastic quarterback. They have weapons on the outside. Neither one of them run the ball a lot. But if we're comparing running games with Clyde Edwards-Helaire, hell, I haven't watched a lot of this game because I was at my parents' eating dinner. But it looks like he's playing, because and a healthy Helaire to me is, you know, we talked about it in the breakdown last week. You know, to me that's the linchpin of this team, is to get that running game going, or just pass the ball to Tyreek Hill and he runs like mad. But no, the tall and skinny of it is both teams are very, very similar. Their defense is similar, their offense is similar, but yet they're very different from the Green Bay Packers, in my opinion. Rodgers does normally, you know, in his, whether it's vast wisdom or experience or whatever you want to call it, doesn't take nearly as many chances downfield as these two kids. And I'm talking about Josh Allen and Pat Mahomes, where they just love to air the ball out. Love it, especially with Mahomes and Tyreek Hill. When you got someone who's that fucking fast, and when you have Stephon Diggs on the other side who's that fucking fast, I can see why you like to air the ball out. I can see why it's more fun to pass the ball rather than run it. So, regardless, I think if whoever comes out of this game and goes, and yet another thing that Tom Brady does that's historic, first time ever a Super Bowl team will play a home game. Took TB12 going down to Tampa for it to happen. But yeah, that's, you know, speaking of which, 2Ks, let's transition into the Bills and Chiefs game. The game's going on right now. So, I gotta turn my camera on. Hold on 1 second. Hold on, please hold. Please hold. Okay. There we are. And we're back. So, this game started off, if I'm not mistaken, 2Ks, that the Bills jumped out to a 9-point lead. It was 9-0.
Mm-hmm.
And kind of in normal Patrick Mahomes and Chiefs fashion, they like to get down, and then all of a sudden, bam! Just like I said, they got hit in the mouth, and they're like, we don't like this. Here's 21 points, 21, right? 21 points right up your ass.
Unanswered points right in the second quarter alone.
Yep. So Pat Mahomes and the Chiefs are doing Pat Mahomes and the Chiefs things. One of the things that I talked to you right before we went on air was, is it kind of nerves? Like, you know, Josh Allen and the Bills haven't been this far. They haven't been here. Is that playing into the hands of the Chiefs? Or are they young enough that they don't even give a fuck? They're just going to go air it out and see what happens. And I think this second half is going to be an extremely, extremely fun half of football to watch, because I have a feeling Josh Allen and the Bills aren't done yet. It's still anybody's game, even though the Chiefs are up by, would you say 21-9?
21-12.
21-12. So yeah, it's even closer. So Yeah, this Buffalo Bills team is got more strong. They have more strong will and more fight in them than just to give up with that amount. The key is you got to make stops on offense or excuse me on defense,
Mhm. On defense. Yeah.
and when you do make a stop, it's imperative that you take some time off the clock with your offense to keep Pat Mahomes and that electric offense off the field. Which means traditionally you would think run the ball, work the clock, but it's not the way this Bills team's. Granted, they have Singletary, who's a fantastic running back, but that's not really their mo. That's not what they're known for. That's not their strength. Their strength is air the ball out. So we shall see how this game goes. But up until now, 2Ks, what's your impressions up until halftime here?
Yeah, it was I mean, for Buffalo, they got up to a pretty good score. I think they would have liked to um, maybe get the ball in the end zone on that first drive, but they started off really nice, and then they ended up having to settle for. Actually, it turned into a long field goal. The only reason for that was because Allen, held onto the ball way too long, took a big time sack, and
Yeah,
pushed him back.
that's
And ended
that's
up
right.
having to settle for the longer field goal, but
That's right when I
really,
flipped it on was yeah.
yeah, and really before that point, they had a really good drive going, and that it was that one play to where Josh Allen sometimes that's the one knock I have with Allen is sometimes he just tries to do too much. He doesn't take this easy sack where he only loses 6 or 7 yards. He tries to do too much and ends up getting sacked and losing 15, 16 yards, or fumbling the ball in the process. And sometimes he just has a tendency to do too much. But no, they got to a good start, but then Kansas City does what we watched them do it all last postseason. They fall behind, and then all of a sudden they have the ability to throw up 21, 28 points in a quarter, and just this offense is so high powered and so scary. And you have the best quarterback in the NFL, and then you're surrounded him by just 5, 6 different weapons that guys that would be studs on every team in the NFL would be crazy not to take some of these guys. And yeah, to me, with this one, halftime came at a perfect time for Buffalo because they could kind of get into the locker room, regroup before things got out of hand because they had no answer for Kansas City in the second quarter on anything.
Right.
So at least they were able to get into the locker room, kind of regroup. Hopefully they can come out with a different game plan. Hey, they're only down by starting the second half, they're only down 9. So they're still in this game. A lot to be played, but if they're gonna have to make a few stops, and we haven't seen very many teams in the NFL in the last 2 seasons that are able to make multiple stops on this Kansas City offense. But we'll see what happens.
That's very true. And then didn't Hardman fumble a kickoff or something right near the goal line, and
Yes.
they pretty much got the Bills pretty much got a touchdown handed to them, which doesn't hurt either. So.
Yep.
It's at
but kudos to Hardman because Hardman followed that obvious mistake first quarter, biggest game of the season, fumbles it, gives an easy touchdown to Buffalo, and then right on the next drive, Hardman scores the touchdown, and then the drive after that, he ends up with I think he ended up getting a carry like on an end around play, and he took it for 50, 60 yards, what ended up leading to another touchdown for him. So he absolutely made up for that play. So kudos to him.
And my biggest suggestion right now for the Bills is cover Travis Kelce.
Travis Kelce.
Yeah, I mean, he's I think they just put up thing. He has 10 catches for 100 yards, and it seems like when Kelce is going strong.
The thing about it is, how do you stop him?
Yeah, I don't know.
How do you stop you? Because he's catching all these passes that. It's not like he's running routes way down the field. He's catching. He's so good after. Obviously he's the best tight end in the NFL right now. And what he does after he catches the ball, he runs like a damn receiver.
Yeah.
But when you have all these guys, all these receivers, all these weapons that Kansas City has that can basically take the entire top off any defense, this offense is so perfect for Travis Kelce. All these guys can run everybody deep, take the top off the defense. And then basically he catches the ball, where Mahomes maybe has to throw it 5, 6 yards to him, and then just let Kelce do what he does best, run after the catch. And it's it's so hard it's so hard to defend them. I mean, because if you start trying to bring up double teams on Kelsey, then you're leaving Tyreek Hill alone on an island in a one-on-one situation, and or you're leaving Hardman, or I mean the list goes on. How many talented offensive receivers this team has?
Yeah, it's one of those things you can't double team everybody. You can't.
Mm-hmm.
You really can't. But it's going to be interesting going forward. I was curious to see, because obviously after halftime is when you know, everyone goes in for halftime. It's like, all right, well, what adjustments are we making? What's our game plan going forward? What's this? What's that? So it's always kind of exciting to see everyone's game plan coming out of halftime, and it seems like, I mean, obviously so far it hasn't been much out of halftime, but it's going to be curious. I'm curious to see where everything's going to land here, but. 2Ks, I think I'm going to have you take the reins because I have to use the bathroom. And I'll be right back. So, are you there?
Yeah.
Yeah. If you want to, just kind of give your little projection as to what Brady and the Bucks could experience from either one of these teams. That's the topic. Go for it. I'll be back. I'll be back in a minute.
If I'm Tom Brady and the Bucks, I think it's the team I want to see is Buffalo. There's not one part of me wants anything to do with Kansas City just because of how high powered this offense is, and yes, Tampa's defense is very, very good, but I think that Josh Allen and the Buffalo offense, not to knock them by any means, but they're not as high powered as this Kansas City team. This Kansas City team can throw 30 points on you in a half, and that wouldn't really just be out of the ordinary for them. To where this Buffalo team kind of has to, they don't make it look as easy. Very good offense, but they have to work a little bit more for what they get. So if I'm Tampa, no question about it, I want to play against. I would rather play against Buffalo in this situation than Kansas City. Also, the other thing with Buffalo is, I just don't think they're so one-dimensional. I think you can do a lot of game planning on, obviously they want to throw the ball a lot, and so they don't really have a running game. They really don't have a solidified running back in their system. Probably their best running back this entire team has is their quarterback in Josh Allen. But I just think that they're obviously the team that's a lot easier to defend than this Kansas City team. This Kansas City team is just so scary. What they can do, I mean, they're so talented, and their offense is so good that they can basically end the game in one half of football. And so I think for Tom Brady, for the Bucs, the obvious choice is that they would rather face Buffalo than Kansas City in the Super Bowl.
All right. Sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry about that, 2Ks.
Oh, you're fine. Just to kind of basically go back on what I just said was, if I'm Tampa Bay and Tom Brady, Bruce Arians, and I'm looking ahead to 2 weeks for the Super Bowl, I think the team that I would rather face in this is Buffalo, and basically it's simple to me. The offense of Kansas City is just so good. They're so high powered. They're so scary. They can put up 21, 28 points in a half and basically end the game in one half of football. And to where I think Buffalo, not to take anything away from them, but they have to work a little bit harder to put points on the board. It doesn't just come as easy. Like this Kansas City team can flip a switch at any time and just decide that they're going to throw up 20, 21 on the unanswered points, and they can just do it. That's how good they are. To where I don't think there's any other team in all of football that can do that.
No, but if they do advance in this game and do face TB12, I suggest with the game plan that you flip that switch in the locker room before the game and come out hot, because Kansas City's defense is okay. They don't have like the big pass rusher that you would think of. But they have a good enough defense to kind of keep the other offense guessing, keep them off balance, It's just usually the key to beating Tom Brady is to get him off his spot, hit him a lot, sack him, and Kansas City really doesn't have that dominant pass rusher to do that. Which I'm not saying their defense is horrible, but Green Bay barely got to him today. They did a couple times, and that's kind of where I think a few of those picks came from. Was Tom Brady being unsettled, Tom Brady not being comfortable in the pocket. Because once Tom Brady's comfortable in the pocket and gets a pocket, then he's going to find a receiver somewhere. I don't care where they are, if they're 35 yards downfield, if they're 5 yards downfield, it doesn't matter. He's going to find somebody. And that's what makes him dangerous, even at this age that he's at. He's, I hate to say it, but Joe Buck was saying, he looks like he's 24. And my very, very awesome love-hate relationship with Joe Buck, but yeah, I think collectively, Kansas City has a great secondary. They don't have a good pass rush. They're not a team that's going to beat you in the trenches, but Tyrann Mathieu playing like a madman back there, as well as some of their other secondary pieces. So, but then again, Tampa's got many, 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 many weapons, and I didn't see Gronk's name get mentioned a whole lot, if all, during the game today. So that's, to me, that it's always weird when Tom and Gronk don't hook up, because they've been playing together for fucking ever. You would think that would be the easiest. Obviously he has the most relationship with him, the most chemistry, if you will, compared to the other guys. But at this time of the year, if you don't have chemistry with your receivers, you're not going to be a playoff team. I'm sorry. And everyone was trying to hammer that home today. Oh my gosh, they didn't have time to throw in the off season. They're just gelling. Shut the fuck up. If they weren't gelling, they wouldn't have been in the playoffs. Just stop. It's like it's like in college football when you get down to like the bowl games and stuff, and they're like, oh well, a true freshman. Shut the fuck up. No, the dude's a freshman. He's been starting all year. So yes, I know there's a difference between a true freshman and a redshirt freshman, but come the fuck on. It's beyond that. He's earned his stripes. Just give the man. He's a freshman. Just stop. But yeah, to me, if you don't have chemistry with your receivers or any portion of your offense at this point, you are not a playoff team, hands down. So, but it's 24-12 right now, and sneakily enough, the Bills have the pirate off of Dodgeball as their slot receiver, Cole Beasley, which is cool that that dude found work after Dodgeball, because I haven't seen him since. But yeah, if you take a look at Cole Beasley compared to a picture of the pirate dude from Dodgeball, they look like brothers. I'm not kidding. But to me, he's got to be a bigger portion of this offense going farther in the second quarter or the second half here, because everyone knows they're going to throw the ball to Diggs. Everybody knows. I want to say he was he's either the most targeted or the second most targeted receiver in the league this year. Your offense has to, because Kansas City is gonna double him regardless. You have to. Now it's a matter of him splitting doubles and doing his work and doing everything like that. He's been doing it all year, so that's nothing different. But Cole Beasley, he had some injuries in the first part of the playoffs, so don't know if he's 100%, but he needs to be a big part of this performance going forward if Buffalo is going to have success against this Kansas City defense. What do you think?
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, obviously, right, if you can't get anybody else going, all the attention's obviously on Diggs, and yeah, you want to get Diggs going as much as you can. I mean, arguably he's been, with the exception of Devontae Adams, Diggs has probably been the next best wide receiver in the league all season long. So yeah, you want to get him going, but in order to get him going, you're going to have to start getting other guys going, which obviously to see another catch for Cole Beasley. So as we're talking about him,
Yeah.
he gets 24-yard reception. So, but yeah, obviously, yeah, you want to get the other guys going, and you also got to get a little bit of a running game going. And I know that we haven't seen Buffalo do that. And by running game, I'm not really necessarily saying turn around and hand it to the running back.
Right.
You're gonna have to get Josh Allen and kind of play a little bit of that option pass game, and give him options to make throws or options to use his feet. I mean, I understand you don't want your franchise quarterback getting hurt or anything like that, but you basically have 2 games left this season. You can either, if you win tonight, you get one more chance at the Super Bowl. So this is the time to let it all out there and to beat a team that is as talented and as good as the Kansas City Chiefs. You're going to have to give everything you got, and that might mean Josh Allen carrying the ball over 10 times tonight. So that's one of the things that I kind of look at here as this game goes on, as we finish up. We're just starting the third quarter, so obviously a ton of football left to be played. But I think that we're going to start. I'm kind of intrigued to see what happens with Josh Allen. I think we're going to see him run the ball a little bit more and try to make things happen with his feet, and I think that will also open up his receivers.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely couldn't hurt. I mean, like we talked about kind of in the opening of this segment was, are they, you have to run the ball sometime, and they have a good running back. It's not like they have a shit running back. I mean, granted, that kid, the rookie, got hurt and he's out, but Devin Singletary is he pretty much led the team in rushing last year, so it's not like he's unproven and not a commodity. He's proven. He can carry the load, and like you mentioned, this is win or go home. There's 2 more games of the season left. 2 more games of the season. And for everyone watching on YouTube, go ahead and subscribe. Go ahead and drop a comment over there. Let us know what your thoughts are. I could feature you, and I'd love to feature your comment on the show. So just if it's just to say hi, if you want to say "fuck you, Turbo," I hate you, we can do that too, because I love you. I don't hate you. I don't hate you. But 2Ks, I think that I think our commentary for this game could go on until the end of the game. But what's your? I didn't put this on a slide, which I'm kind of pissed off about now. But obviously the Bucks are moving forward. Who do you see moving forward in in this game?
As much as I want Buffalo to get there, I mean, I can't lie. I want Buffalo to win it all. If I had it my way, I would love to see Bills Mafia.
Yes.
Just somebody different. Really, in all honesty, who better than what fans in all NFL are better than Bills Mafia anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So, in my opinion, they just deserve it. I'd love to see these kids, be able to bring a Super Bowl back to them, and just I think that would be really cool. But unfortunately, I just don't see them being able to make this comeback on Kansas City. Obviously, the drive they got going on right now, if they can score a touchdown here, it would be huge. Be able to get a little bit of momentum going towards the second half of this game. But this game is probably gonna. The only way that you're going to win it is you're going to have to make you're going to have to stop Kansas City on a couple of these drives and force them to punt. And I don't know if they're going to be able to do that.
Or get a turnover or two.
Yep.
Okay, yep. So you got Bucks and Chiefs playing down in Tampa. Who wins and what's the score? I know way too early prediction. But I wouldn't ask you, but the title of the live stream is our 2021 Super Bowl picks. So I kind of backed us in a corner, so we have to make a pick.
I would pick Kansas City and to be there with the Bucks, and I think if it came down to it, I think I would probably pick Tampa Bay to win it all. Tom Brady, man. I mean. he's won every single time. You want to count this guy out and say that he can't do it anymore and that he's too old and that he's done and that he can't throw it anymore. And the guy just figures out ways to win every single time. And I think that in a game where Tampa and Kansas City played, in a Super Bowl, I don't think it would be a very high-scoring game. I think Tampa's defense would be the defense in the league that could kind of somewhat slow Mahomes down a little bit, get a little bit of pressure on Mahomes, and you're not going to be able to stop him. But if you can keep him in the 20s, then that to me is stopping Kansas City's offense. If you can keep Kansas City in the 20s, you have a very good chance of winning, and that's basically stopping that defense because you can't. They're going to get their points. They're just going to. You can't. I mean, you're not going to hold this team to 13 points or something like that. That just won't fucking happen.
No.
But if you can keep them in the 20s, their defense is going to give up some points, and I think that's how you're going to beat them. And so I would say if the Super Bowl happened between them, I would look at I'll just throw it out. I didn't even know this was coming, so this is kind of off the cuff, but I'll just throw it out there. Tampa 34, Kansas City 24.
All right. And for me, I'm going the same way. Tampa and Kansas City. However, I'm going Kansas City 36, Tom Brady 33. I think it's going to be a close game. And I think that Pat Mahomes is going to Tom Brady. He's going to have the ball last, and I think that's going to be who wins. And I think it's going to come. It wouldn't shock me with this if that's who moves forward. Is we're looking at a Super Bowl whoever has the ball last is going to win. That wouldn't shock me. That wouldn't shock me at all. That wouldn't shock me at all. All right. Well, 2Ks, we have a wrap up thing here. And kind of on the wrap up here, big story coming out, especially out of Detroit, where the Lions and Matthew Stafford have kind of agreed to part ways. And to be honest with you, this isn't a shock. I'm glad they're kind of doing it mutually rather than the Lions just saying, fuck you, Stafford, we're trading you. But just kind of off the top of your dome here, 2Ks, give me 3 teams that'd be an awesome fit for Matthew Stafford. And you can't say the other 31 teams because obviously
the first one.
Obviously, any one of the other 31 teams would be better than Detroit. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, no shit. The first one that just absolutely jumps out to me is the Saints. I mean, we're looking at a team that, I mean, it sucks to say it, and I hate to say this, but the only thing that was holding the Saints back this year from winning a Super Bowl was Drew Brees.
Unfortunately, you're right.
He couldn't make the throws anymore. He just had lost it. Age has unfortunately caught up with him. The injuries have caught up with him. His body is not. He just can't do what he used to be able to do. And he's a Hall of Fame quarterback. He's one of the best I've ever watched in my lifetime. Got more respect for him than basically everybody that I've ever watched, with the exception of maybe a couple guys. But he's the only thing that really was holding that team back. So, I mean, you take a guy like Matthew Stafford and throw him on that high-powered offense with that great defense, and to me, they instantly become one of the favorites to win a Super Bowl.
Oh, hands down.
With a quarterback as talented as Stafford. So they're the number 1 team that I look at. Number 2 team to me would be the Colts.
Yep.
Want to have to go far. The Colts, I think, are set up to win now. Also, they're younger.
Wouldn't have to change wardrobe because the colors are similar.
Yeah, and but the Colts are younger than the Saints, so they're probably going to be around for even longer.
Yep.
Obviously, Philip Rivers just announcing his retirement. Stafford to me is a huge. I'm trying not to do this without taking away from Philip Rivers, but Philip Rivers let's just be honest, he's not playing. He wasn't playing this year like he was playing back in his prime, in some of those Chargers days.
No,
he had lost it. So
This was
So
kind of like,
obviously Stafford stepping in there would be a huge upgrade.
yeah, look, let's be honest with him signing with Indy was like his one last hoorah.
Yeah.
Let's see if we can get with a younger team. Let's see if we can get with a different organization, a new face, a new place, and let's ball out and see what happens. And to be honest with you, they made it further than I thought they would have. They were a better team than I thought they'd be. But did it shock me when he announced his retirement? Absolutely not. No,
Mm-hmm.
and I think he's sixth all time in passing yards and passing touchdowns and all this other shit. So does he decide? Does he earn the right to decide when he wants to retire? Absolutely. Right off into the sunset, brother. I know it. I know it. As far as the postseason concerned, it never really happened for you, which sucks because someone that obviously he's going down in the history of the NFL is having the most passing yards and touchdowns and wins and everything without winning a Super Bowl or without even playing in one. So, what's your third team?
My third team would probably be, I don't know if this one's tough for me because where we're at right now, I don't really know where Ben Roethlisberger stands.
Mm-hmm.
Is he gonna hang it up, and is he gonna come back? I mean, obviously, if he comes back, then there's not going to be any interest in bringing in Stafford because you really don't want to have a quarterback,
two quarterbacks making that much money. Yeah,
absolutely. And you're not gonna. I mean, I think Stafford is the better quarterback right now.
Yes.
At this point in their careers, but obviously, if Pittsburgh brings a guy like Stafford in, Roethlisberger's done. Like he's not going to stick around and stay for that. So he's done. But that one would be intriguing to me. Another team that obviously has a ton of weapons, has a great defense. I think Stafford is very similar in a lot of ways to Roethlisberger as far as the toughness and just slinging the ball all over the place. And I mean, I look back at some of those years when Stafford, when Jim Schwartz was the head coach there, and man, they used to throw the ball 50 sometimes every single Sunday.
Yep.
And just let Stafford throw it all over the place, and in a lot of ways, that's pretty similar to what Tomlin does a lot with Roethlisberger. He just lets him, there you go, Ben, throw the ball 50 fucking times, do whatever you got to do, and you might throw 3 or 4 picks, but at the end of the day, you might have 5 touchdown passes.
Yeah, kind of the Jameis Winston and Tampa before TB12 got there. But what do you think about Stafford in San Francisco?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, obviously, I think he would be a major upgrade. You know everything that I've ever said about Garoppolo. I think he's fucking trash.
Mm-hmm. But
I just do. I just don't think he's ever going to be the quarterback that's gonna. I get it. He got to the Super Bowl last year, but I mean, how much did he really have to do? They were running all over everybody they played, and their defense wasn't giving up shit. So, I kind of look at that as like he was basically playing quarterback like Trent Dilfer. Didn't have to fucking do a damn thing. Just let everybody else on the team get you there, and you just don't do anything to fuck it up.
Yep.
So,
and you put Stafford in there with that young group of receivers, woo. And then, like you said, that running game when everybody's healthy, it's just going to come down to
an offensive line like Kyle Shanahan. I mean,
yeah.
I think one of the most valuable people in all of San Francisco is how good of a coach Kyle Shanahan is.
Yeah, and you're basically you have an amazing running attack, and one of the best defenses in the league. So, just depends how sold San Francisco is and how invested they are in Garoppolo. Do they cut him? How much of a salary cap hit would that take? Who knows? But you put someone there that can air it out like Stafford into that mix, into that situation. Holy shit, that's going to be dangerous.
Yeah. I would love to see Stafford play with a fucking coach, like a good coach. Like the best coach that he's ever played under is probably Caldwell.
Yeah.
I mean, before that, it was
which the Lions fired way too quick. Quick.
And then they bring in, they did. I'm not really trying to knock on Caldwell, but at the same time, like, come on now, Caldwell is not a name like,
no.
Some of these young guys that are taking over the league, like the Kyle Shanahan and like the Sean McVay and the Matt LaFleur and these coaches these coaches are getting the very best out of everything that they have. And some of these, I just think for a lot of these older coaches that we've seen around the league that a lot of them, especially the game that just kind of, for lack of a better term, the game that's just kind of passed them up. I really like the way that some of these younger coaches are coming in and some of the new offenses and the excitement in the offenses and I mean you look at LaFleur's offense and McVay's offense and they're running guys in motion all over the place and like I don't know how you as a defensive coordinator I don't know how you prepare for those offenses and then but getting back to Stafford I want to see him be able to play for to get into a situation where he's playing for a great coach like Kyle Shanahan or like a Mike Tomlin or my perfect team for him is going down there. He's going down to New Orleans, and so then you're playing with
Sean Payton,
who I think is arguably one of the best coaches in the NFL. So. Just to get him with a Hall of Fame style coach instead of guys like fucking Jim Schwartz and Matt Patricia and just guys that don't know what the fuck they're. I mean, basically coaches for 2 or 3 years and then they get fired and everybody forgets about them.
Another team that's intriguing, which is going contradictory to your, new school head coaching style, would be to go to Vegas. Go to Vegas and the Raiders.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I think he'd be a great fit there. You got Josh Jacobs as a running back. You got a group of, yet again, another young group of receivers, an awesome offensive line, a defense that could be patched up a little bit, and you got probably the most wild card head coach in the league. Let's put it that way. You never know what Gruden's going to do. You never know, but that could be a good landing spot. And kind of a weird one. I'm not coming up with these off the top of my head. I actually did a shorts video, and there's a bunch of people saying where they thought that would be cool. But trying to remember the third one. I think one of them said Jacksonville, but that's kind of out with them having the number 1 pick in the draft. Another one said Miami because they're not sold on Tua, but I think it's way too early to start bailing on Tua so far. But about New England.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, obviously, anyone in their right fucking mind would take Stafford over Cam Newton. Hands down. As much as it pains me to say, because Belichick wins everything except for this year. But you put, and the only downside of that is you'll have the defensive players back that opted out because of COVID. Draft a couple receivers, sign a couple receivers. They have running backs out the ass. If Sony Michel can stay healthy all year, you've got a number 1 back. You've got James White. You've got Rex Burkhead. The list goes on and on and on. And all of those guys are serviceable in any amount of means. But yeah, to me, that would probably be the most interesting landing spot. Let's put it that way. And probably either that one or San Francisco. And with New England, yes, you would have to put together some picks. I guarantee that. I'm kind of curious to see the package that the Lions are going to get because there's no reason to get rid of Stafford cheap. There really isn't. He's a very hot commodity. There's going to be at least 8 or 9 teams lining up to put together a package to get him. That wouldn't shock me at all. But as far as, because that if San Francisco it does trade for him, do they put Garoppolo in a package to move that so you're not having to cut him and paying that against the salary cap? Who knows? But I think it's going to be interesting to see moving forward where Mr. Stafford lands. And we've talked about him many times on the show. You and I are both Stafford fans. I hope he, like you said, I hope he lands in a spot where he can at least contend for a playoff spot, play meaningful fucking football in September. in October. Get into the playoffs. Make some noise. And once you make it into the playoffs, anything can happen. Anything can happen. And I hope that Detroit hasn't just destroyed his body enough to where he can't complete seasons anymore and he can't stay healthy. Because that would be such a shame that you wasted that talent. But it's Detroit. They've wasted talent before, so who knows? Who knows? Well, 2Ks, we are at an hour and 10 minutes, brother. This one has flown by extremely fast. So is there anything that you want to wrap up, my friend?
No, I think that's everything. Just watch the rest of this game, see what happens tonight. I mean, Kansas City just scored again with a Travis Kelce touchdown, caught another pass. So, so I think Buffalo. I think going into this was going to be. I was hoping that Buffalo would win, but I knew it was going to be a very, very tough game for them. Going into the fourth quarter now, chasing 16 points, 2 scores and 2 2-point conversions is going to be very tough for them to come back. But hey,
anything can happen. It's playoff football.
Yep.
Playoff football. All right, brother. Take her easy. 2K crew, you guys have a great week. Have a great week. This is going to be the week in between the the championship game and the Super Bowl. So we might throw something different down down the alley here next week. You're just gonna have to wait and see. But until then, Jim Rome, we are coming for you.